Hello all, welcome back to the session. And in this session, we are going to discuss about addresses in the target code. That is, here we are going to show how names in the intermediate representation can be converted into addresses in the target code. So just by looking at the code generation for simple procedure call and return statement using static allocation and stack allocation. So here we are going to see how the names are converted into addresses. And so we already have discussed about the address space, that is the logical address space of a program, and that is partitioned into 4 code and data areas. So the first one is code area, then the static area, heap area, and finally stack area. So here the statically determined area holds the executable target code. So the target code, executable target code, whatever the statically determined values, that is the value or the size of the target code that can be determined during compile time itself. So those kind of variables and data can be stored inside this area code. And coming to the static area, so in the static area, here also we are holding the values like global constants, and then some other data that is generated by the compiler. So all these kind of data will be stored inside this static area. Here also we are going to store the value that can be determined during compile time itself. And the next one is the heap area. So this heap is for holding the data objects, and that data objects can be allocated and deallocated during program execution, or we can say during done time. So whenever the size of the data that cannot be determined at compile time and can be determined only during runtime, so those kind of data can be managed dynamically, that is by the heap area. And the next one is the stack. So here the stack is also for holding the activation records, and that activation records are actually those activation records are also created or generated during runtime only. So we know that the activation record is used to hold the information about the procedure calls, okay, the information that is present in the procedure call. So whenever a procedure call is created, and the activation record gets generated, and whenever the procedure call is destroyed, then the activation record will also get removed, that is popped out from the stack. So based on that procedure calls and returns, here we are using the stack area for holding those activation records. Now we'll see about the static allocation that is happening for a simple procedure calls and returns. And these are all the instructions that is for the procedure call and the return statement. So 3 address statements here. So this is the statement call callee. So here the statement is used as the procedure call, and the return statement which is used to return the value here. And along with these 2 statements, we have halt and action. So here the size and the layout of the activation record are basically determined by the code generator, and how we are going to determine the size is with the information about the names that are stored in the symbol table. So based on the information in the symbol table, so the size of the activation record will be determined. So before going into that, first we will see how to store the return address in an activation record on a procedure call, and how the return how to return the control to it after the procedure call. So for that, first we will consider the code that is needed to implement some simple case, and that we are taking in static allocation. Okay, so let us take this one. First one is the call callee, so which is a statement that is the intermediate the intermediate code can be implemented by 2 target instructions. That is, here these are all the 2 target machine instruction that is used for this procedure call statement call callee. So here st instruction, it stores the return address at the beginning of the activation record, and so here this br is the branch, this transfers the control to the target code for the called procedure. So this is what the purpose of these two instructions here. So this ST is used to save the return address at the beginning of the activation record for calling, and this BR transfers the control to the target code for the called procedure. So whenever a procedure is called, so here the control moves to the target code. So these two instructions are acting in that way. And if you see here, Kali dot static area, so this is an attribute and this is actually a constant, and this gives the address of the beginning of the activation record for Kali. So here with this attribute we can determine the address of the beginning of the activation record for Kali. And this attribute, that is Kali dot code area, so this is also a constant, and this refers to the address of first instruction in the called procedure Kali. Okay, so this gives the beginning address of activation record, this gives the first instruction, that is address of first instruction of the called procedure. And when you see this operand, okay, here this here plus 20, so in this store instruction, this is the literal return address. Okay, so this is the address of the instruction that is following the branch instruction. So whatever there are instruction that is after this branch instruction, so this instruction's address will be given by this operand, that is hash here plus 20. And always the code for the procedure ends with a return to the calling procedure. So here for that purpose we are using this return, so which should be used in a procedure, and always a procedure should end with that return to the calling procedure. And here we are using the instruction called halt. So this instruction halt returns the control to the operating system. So that is the final instruction that is to be used in a code. So halt should be the final instruction, and whenever the control moves to this halt, so what happens, this returns the control to the operating system. Why? Because this is at the end of the program, that is, this is the last instruction of a program. And we are using the return statement. That return statement can be implemented by using a simple jump instruction. So we can use that simple jump instruction for return statement, and this is how we can give the return statement, that is branch, so the control will move to that particular branch. And here star Kali dot static area, so here this attribute actually transfers the control to the address that is saved at the beginning of the activation record for Kali. So this is used to store the address or give the address of the beginning of the activation record, right? So whenever this instruction is seen, then what happens, the control will go to that particular address that is saved at the beginning of the activation record for calling. So let us consider this example, which is a 3 address code statements, and first we'll try to convert this into a target machine instruction, and then we'll see how the calling is happening and how the addresses are referred and how the return statement is working, right? So here in this we have two procedures. One is procedure C and the next one is procedure P. And for this procedure C, we have some statements here, that is action 1, which will perform some action. After that we have call P. So here we have the procedure call, and that procedure call is for the procedure P. After completing that, it should execute the next action 2. And finally it should halt. So this is the end of the instruction. Why? Because after calling this procedure, so after completing this, the control will come here, and then this is the final instruction. So whenever this instruction is encountered, then the final the program will get terminated, right? And coming to procedure P, here we have some action, that is action 3 is to be performed on procedure. After performing this action, the control should return to the calling procedure, right? So what happens is the return statement will move to this action 2 after finding this, so that we are using return in this called procedure. So this is what called procedure and this is what calling procedure. And now we'll see how the instructions, that is machine code instructions, are written for these two procedures. And so here this is the target code for static allocation. So this is the C procedure, and this is the P procedure. So in the procedure C, here we have first action 1, And after action, what we have call p. So whenever we are calling a procedure, there we should include two statements, right? So one is store and the next one is branch. So here store actually has the address of, that is it gives the address of the beginning of the activation record for the calling. So here we have the activation record for both procedure C and P. So for procedure C, we have the activation record that starts with the address 300 and it goes on. And for the procedure P, we have activation record that starts with the location 364, address 364. Now what your store contains actually, so whenever you are calling a procedure P, okay, so this should contains the beginning address of the activation record of for a calling. So for this activation record P, we have the beginning address 364, so that should be given here. And here this should contain the return address, right? So this is what the return address, when the control comes here, so again the control will move to this particular address. So this is why this is what the return address here. And after that, here we have branch statement. So where whenever we have a procedure call, so where that procedure or where the control should move to, that control should move to that particular called procedure, right? So this contains the branch statement, and this value 200 represents the address of the calling. So now after encountering this branch statement, that is 200, now the control where it goes to the address 200. So what is there in the 200? So here these are all the instructions for the procedure P. Now the procedure P is getting executed, so action 3 will get executed. After that, here we have the return statement, and this return statement is written like this, that is branch, and this represents the address where the control should go. And when you look at here 64, okay, star 64. So where is this star 64? So this is the address 64, and in this address we have the activation, that is the address of the return statement, that will be written here in this address, particular address. Why? Because so this is the activation record for the callee, and what the first position contains, it contains the return address here. So whenever this statement is encountered, the control will come here and it will fetch the value that is present inside this particular location, and what this will contain is, it will contain the return address. So after seeing this, where this control will go is, it will this control will go to the return address here. Okay, so here the return address is 140. So after encountering this 140, now the control will move to the memory location 140. So what is there in the 140? So it contains action 2. After performing this action 2, it will come to the next statement, that is halt. So here the program will get terminated. So what happens, whenever a procedure call is encountered, then the control moves to that particular called procedure. So after executing the statements inside the procedure, the control should return here, right? Because to execute the remaining statements here. So in order to execute the remaining statements, the control is coming here, and in this statement we are getting the return address. With this return address, we are executing the remaining statements in this particular procedure. So this is how we have to write the target code for a simple procedure call and return statement. And this is for static allocation. Now we will see for stack allocation. So coming to stack allocation, the static allocation can become stack allocation here by using the relative addresses for storage in activation record. So here in stack allocation, the position of an activation record for a procedure is not known until runtime. So during runtime only we will know the position of the activation record. So this position is usually stored inside a register, and here in the activation record we can access the activation record with the help of offset, and that offset value can be taken from the register. So here we have indexed address mode of our target machine, so that can be convenient for using in this purpose. It is convenient to use that indexed addressing mode. So we will see how we can use that addressing mode, and how we can go for this, how we can do this stack allocation and how it is happening in the given instruction. So when we are going for stack allocation, we need to do some of the steps. Okay, so that is, first we need to initialize a stack, then we have to increment the stack pointer whenever an activation record is about to be pushed into the stack, and then whenever an activation record is popped out from the stack, then we have to decrement that stack pointer. So these are all some of the steps we need to do whenever we are going for stack allocation, and the first step is the initialization of stack. So when we want to initialize a stack, then we can use this instruction for initializing the stack. So here load sp comma hash stack start. So this indicates the initialization of stack, that is we are going to start the stack from here. So the stack pointer is usually at the start of the stack. So this is what initializing the stack, and after that we have some code for that procedure, and finally we should add the halt statement, so which terminates the execution here. And whenever an activation record is generated and it is being pushed into the stack, so at that time we need to increment the stack pointer. And how we are going to increment the stack pointer? Based on the size of the activation record, the stack pointer value gets incremented. So for that we have some certain code, and these are all the instructions that we are using to increment the stack pointer and to transfer the control to a called procedure, right? So the first instruction is add sp, that is a stack pointer, then stack pointer hash caller dot record size. So based on the size of the record, activation record, so we are going to increment the value of stack pointer. So stack pointer value is getting incremented, that is by sp stack pointer plus the value of the activation record, that is the size of, based on the size of the activation record. So we'll be adding the value, and the final result will be it will be placed inside this stack pointer itself. And this instruction is to increment the stack pointer. And then next one is we have to save the return address. Why? Because the control should return back to the calling procedure. So for that we are having save return address, and this is the instruction that we are using here for saving the return address. And when for saving the return address, here we are using this hash here plus 16, so which is again the address that is to be returned here, that is the return address here. And here we have the stack pointer, so we are adding the value of the stack pointer along with the contents, that is along with the memory location 0. And finally here we are saving the return address. Then coming to the next statement, that is transferring control to the procedure. So for that purpose we are using this branch statement. So this statement will jump to the calling, that is it will transfer the control to the called procedure. So for that we are using this branch statement here, and this is for incrementing the stack pointer and saving the return address and then jumping to the calling. Then coming to the return sequence, actually our return sequence consists of two parts. So one is the called procedure transfers control to the return address. So that can be done by using this statement. So here this what this statement is doing is the called procedure transfers the control to the return address. So for that purpose we are using this statement, that is instruction br star o of sp. So 0 of sp. So here br is the instruction, that is branch instruction we are using here, and this will return to the caller. Okay, when you use this instruction, this will return to the caller. Then the second part of the return sequence is in the caller. Okay, so which decrements the sp, that is stack pointer value. Why? Because so whenever that is the procedure activation or the procedure gets terminated, what happens? The activation record of that particular procedure will popped out from the stack. So whenever we are popping out the activation record from the stack, then we need to decrement the value of the stack pointer there. So this will happen only after this return sequence, right? So the second part here is doing the decrement here. So we are decrementing the pointer, stack pointer, and the stack pointer value is decremented again based on the size of the record. Okay, so based on the size of the record, here the value of stack pointer gets decremented. So for that purpose we are using this statement sub sp comma sp hash caller dot record size. So this will decrement the stack pointer. Next is the runtime addresses for names. So here in this based on the storage allocation strategy and based on the layout of local data in activation record, we can determine how the storage for names can be accessed. Okay, so that we will see how the storage can be accessed during runtime. So let us consider that we have some names. Okay, that names should be eventually replaced by a code in order to access that particular storage location. And let us consider a simple 3 address code instruction, which is x is equal to 0, so which is a copy statement here. So here we are going to copy the value 0 to x, the variable x. So here the value 0 is copied into x. So for that, let us consider that the literal address for this variable x is 12. Okay, so the literal address is 12 for this variable x, and we don't know the address of this x variable in an activation record. Why? Because in the compile time we cannot determine the address of the activation record, right? So at that time, so here in static allocation we are assuming that the static allocation is having that is having the starting address that is static, okay, which is mentioned by static. So how we can represent it is, so static of 12 is equal to 0, so that we are copying the value of 0 to a static address plus the value 12. Okay, so here we are doing the copy operation. And how we can convert this 3 address statement is, that is, we can convert like this: load. So let us consider that here the static address is start at the memory location 100. Okay, so here the static address value is 100 and the literal value address of this variable x is 12. So how we can determine the address here is by adding these two addresses, that is 100 plus 12, which is 112. So what we are going to do, we are going to load the value 0, so that we are using this immediate addressing mode. The value 0 is copied into the location 112, that is loaded into the location 112. So this is how we can translate the code into that is a 3 address code into a target machine code for this runtime address.